You gotta go potty? You? Come on. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? All right. So today we have the Path Dragon. Anyways, you guys haven't seen it out for a while. That's mainly because Louisiana has been hot as the f*** this summer. The motor was making a rather loud, kind of a grimy sound. And so I took the Zeda 4040 off to replace the shaft that connects this sprocket to the clutch. So we have a generic, super cheap motor on this bike in place of the 4040. The 4040 is repaired, and I'll probably put it back on this bike at some point in time, but we're going to go ahead and just run this one and see if I notice a difference. Having a proper motorcycle or dual sport is awesome. Working on these is not only a lot more fun, a hell of a lot easier. Very few things to go wrong. But this is going to feel slow as hell because I've been riding that for the past couple of months. Here we go. She's been sitting for about a week. She's gonna need to warm up for a minute. So while I'm in town or on the main roads, you guys are gonna see me pedaling with the motor. It's nonsense pedaling, it doesn't do anything. This is legal reasons. Once we get out onto the back roads, which is gonna be all motor pretty much. Remember with the 56.2 sprocket on the back, it's gonna be relatively slow going until we get on those back roads. This bike is relatively untouched since you guys saw it in the last trail video, other than a new motor on it. Replaced fuel line, fuel filter. I went ahead and put a fresh carburetor on it. Not that there was anything wrong with the old one. So let's see what it can do. Well, that's full throttle. It could still be braking, but so far the 4040 definitely had more pull than this. Now don't get me wrong, the motor feels plenty smooth, the sound's happy. I think it'll do just fine with that big old sprocket on the back. I think I can still be plenty happy with this. I'm not very keen on the fact that it requires a mounting adapter on that lower bar due to the fact that these generic engine kits only have the 6mm mounting studs with the smaller diameter mounting dome or whatever you want to call it. Full throttle. That's not good. The motor felt like it just completely lost everything. This might be a short trip, guys. Oh, well that explains it. The issue I was having is the choke vibrated up. I would like to be in the shade. There we go. Along with a number of other things you need to check on your kits when you get them, is make sure that the nut holding this on, it's a nylon lock nut, is tight enough so that this cannot lift up during engine vibration. Oh, we're right next to the gun range, so we're going to hear a little bit of gunfire. All right, here we go. So what would normally be an incredibly quick fix with a simple screwdriver has proven that multi-tools can damn near be useless. But zip ties are invaluable. I suppose a piece of Velcro would work too. And by the way, always keep Velcro wrapped around your bike, because that's invaluable if you forget zip ties. Alright, we should be good. Now we can properly test this motor, I hope. It's so hot, guys. I promise, as soon as we get some cooler fall weather, we're going to be riding the bikes a lot more. All right, we're back in business. We're also at full throttle. Let's see how she does climbing this hill. So that was a decent hill we just climbed there. Right as we crested the top, it just didn't have anything. If that hill kept going like that, it would have eventually forced me to pedal. Now our choke situation is remedied. I don't know. Alright, so obviously I'm not giving up on her. You know, it's still a new motor, only one tank of gas, untuned carburetor. It could be a number of other things as well. But I was expecting a little bit more out of a generic engine kit. I'll say there is one nice thing about it. I don't have to worry about over revving the engine. With the 4040, I was always having to hold back on the throttle a little bit, because once you start to get up there in those high RPMs, it's like you almost wait for the motor to just explode. With this little guy, you can just hold full throttle and just let it do its thing. You don't really got to worry about it over revving. It doesn't have that ability. Alright, so although I'm noticing a definite lack in power, I still feel confident taking it on trails. You know, you'll have to pedal a little bit more and you won't be able to get through the boggy areas as easily, but it still feels like it's got enough to keep you moving at a reliable pace. and it feels smooth, relatively speaking, compared to these other ones. It's definite notice power difference. If this is the first, like if it was your first bike build, you know, your first motor, then you're gonna be happy. I assume I would be. I'm not gonna lie, there's another possibility here, guys. There's a possibility that I'm just spoiled by riding the dual sport. That the lack of speed is deceptive. It could be running close to what I was used to on the 4040, and I'm just so used to blazing through here on the dual sport that it feels really slow. But honestly, I do feel like it's lacking in power. And of course, that 4040 had dozens and dozens of gas tanks through it, so it definitely was in its prime of in the prime of its life as far as torque band's concerned. There's a hill down here that we're gonna try and go up. When I hit it on the 4040, I remembered that the entire way up the hill, it constantly pulled. So even though I was going uphill, I was still accelerating. We're gonna go ahead and hit it on this motor and just see if we notice a dramatic difference. Here's the road with that hill. Let's give her a shot. It's gonna be on the return trip. Pro tip, if you have a lot of slack in your chain, or if you use a spring tensioner, do not idle brake the engine. Like, don't use the engine as a brake when you're going downhill, because that is a really good way to get your chain folded up in the engine housing. Now that won't happen on my bike because I filled in that empty gap with JB Weld, but on a stock motor, the chain really likes to fold up in that gap. Come on, baby. Oh, feel that power. So much power. Am I gonna have to pedal? I think I'm gonna have to pedal. Well, maybe. Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? All right, we made it. In one of my old videos, I came back here and flew a drone. Who, it's a lot more overgrown now. All right, so the hill is after this dip. And I already know the answer to my question, but let's just see how much of a difference there is. Sounded pretty happy to me. Okay, definite difference. So, on the plus side, I barely had to give any effort going up that hill, so I'm not winded at all. And it, even with the cheapest, smallest engine kit, it beats the hell out of trying to pedal up that by yourself. I'm guessing, and you guys can answer in the comments if you think you know what it is, one of three things. This is either not a 66cc motor, a 49cc perhaps, or it's still within the break-in margin, meaning that it hasn't reached its full potential yet, or it's a tuning issue. Carburetor not set, spark plug not set. My best guess is that was those Zeda motors. They're not kidding either case. I'm still very happy with this little guy, considering what I paid for it. $100 even for the entire kit. That being said, I want to put my 4040 back on it right now. If I had it, I would do it in the shade right there. But I don't. So we're going to continue this journey. Keep in mind, I'm still happy to have a motor on this bike, even if it's lacking performance. Something I really liked to do on my old bike was to see how well it did from a full stop. She has an advantage. That's slightly downhill. Oh, it's beautiful out here. I love it. Yep, there's a horsefly. It's really hard to tell, but I kind of get the feeling like it is gaining a little bit of power with this full throttle use. I don't know if that's just in my head, but it seems like climbing that hill right there, she had a little bit more than before. The bike doesn't feel like it has much drag. I know my brake setups are not perfect, but they're not terrible. And my sprockets lined up pretty good. My wheel bearings are good. I know because I checked those. So the bike, as far as the bike's concerned, we don't have much drag. It's not as perfect as it could be, but it's definitely a no more resistance than the Zeda had to deal with. If I don't stop at this stop sign, and I mean come to a full and complete stop, the safety Nazis will be on my ass. Okay, so this is pretty much my proving grounds for most of my builds, which I intend to take off of pavement. It's not extreme, but it has hills and it's gravel and it's got bumps, and it just lets me know if the bike's gonna fall apart or if it's gonna get me to a destination. Here's our conclusion so far, other than the minor issue with the choke, which has been a known problem, something I could have easily fixed before I left. I've noticed that there is a bit of oil on the head, leading me to believe that there might be an issue with this seal. That could have something to do with my lack of power. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that that has something to do with my lack of power. However, I don't have the tools with me to check that head. And that's something that I believe you're supposed to do after the break-in tank, is make sure the head is torqued down properly. So there's a definite possibility we have a lack of compression, which is why we are losing power. So I will check that when I get home, and we will have a part 2 follow-up on this bike, more if necessary. It's been a while since I've built a bike from start to finish, so you forget things like tightening the head bolts or checking their torque after the break-in tank, checking spark plug gap, adjusting the fuel to air ratio with that little clip on the needle. So it's like I'm learning all over again. You know, unlike riding a bike, those are things that you can easily forget. We're going to continue on this stock motor compared to the 4040. My assumption is that once we get everything lined out, this motor will perform close, but not quite at the 4040 level. I'm expecting it to be able to climb these gentle hills without losing acceleration, which it's just not doing. And my old build most certainly could do. Let's say for a trail bike, the 56 tooth sprocket with the Zeda was a match made in heaven. It always had just enough power to make you happy in any situation, reasonable for a bike. That's probably going to cut it for this video, guys. So I will see you in the next one. We'll go ahead and do some adjustments. See if we can get this little $100 motor to perform a bit better. Because that's all I can do.